How did I get involved with Father Sebastian? Well, I actually heard about him when I was still in high school. I picked up a copy of Dark Realms magazine at either Hot Topic or Barnes & Noble, and there was an article written by Michelle Ballinger, had written an article about On This Night Vampire Ball in New Orleans. When I moved to LA, I was there to become a makeup artist at the time. I was working on my first business, and I ended up meeting him at Bar Sinister. But he very quickly ended up inviting me into his inner circle, and that's kind of where I stayed for a while until my first business had failed. And during this time period, he did have me do little bits of work for him in there. He had always paid me, and there was the people who had warned me against him, but the person who primarily warned me against him actually did end up screwing me over really badly early on, and so I ended up getting closer to Sebastian after all that happened. Now, we did have a falling out because I actually had the idea for Vampyre Cosmetics before my first business closed, and Sebastian was trying to convince me to give that business away to somebody else. And I was like, no, I want to sit on this. I want to do Buffy the Vampire Slayer makeup one day. I'm sure I can get the license eventually, which I did. I want to be able to do this, and this with Vampire. I want to try and get Anne Rice. I did that too. I wanted to do things. This is back in 2019. My first business had closed, and I hadn't done anything with Vampire yet, but I didn't want to give it up. I wanted to use it one day. And so I did stop speaking to him, but after a few months of him begging and apologizing, I gave in. He offered me an opportunity to work for him running his store to prove myself that my business that it failed was not my fault and that I could successfully run a store. Well, he offered me a pittance at the lowest point in my life and very much gaslit and manipulated me into taking this deal. I was paid $200 a month to run his store, merchandise, scale it up, everything. And I was still getting paid pennies when it was bringing in over $14K a month thanks to me. I also ended up meeting my former business partner for Vampyre Cosmetics, who did eventually tank the business entirely with her own tactics involving narcissistic abuse. I've detailed this in other videos. She stole from the company, a lot of things. But I met her through Sebastian as well, and she was very much part of his inner circle. And even when I was trying to get away from him, she was actively trying to keep me from getting away from him when I realized who he was. Oh, well, he's never done that to me, even though he was, in fact, doing some of these things to her, treating her absolutely horribly for being sick at his event and not being able to make it. I honestly thought that he was just misunderstood because he always tried to frame things as, oh, well, people misunderstood you. They accused you of things you didn't do, so the same thing's happening to me. That's not the case, though. It's a very different thing to be, messing up in business and being accused of sexual assault. And I believed him until I didn't, and at which point I was way too involved. I was co-running Vampyre magazine with him and actively working with him in this night. I found out about all of this basically all at once, very quickly. I met with Michelle Ballinger, I talked to other people in the inner circle, and we figured out that this was happening to all of us. Even just talking to his roommate and his significant other at the time, we found out that he had very different tactics when we tried to call him out on things. For me, he would cry. He would cry and bawl, and I would give in. For his partner at the time, he would throw things, punch walls, break stuff in front of her children. His roommate, he would just kind of like deer in the headlights. We began to compare notes, and all three of us eventually ended up walking away.